Hello everyone, and welcome back to another look at Warcry 2.0. This time we're going to take a look at the Khorne mortals. As we always do, we'll be starting with some look at the new units, taking a look at their stats and their abilities, and then at their point values. And last but not least, we're going to have a look at a list I would suggest. Actually, it's going to be a couple of lists this time because I can't really decide, and would love if you let me know which one you think is best. So, first off, we've got the Skull Crushers in this warband now. So those are your big mounted guys. They ride on those big Juggernauts. We got the one with Axe and the one with Glaive. Glaive is slightly more expensive. Both of them have movement 6, toughness 6 and 30 wounds. That's a bit of an issue. I think 6-inch movement is not great for a cavalry, and 6 toughness is crazy, but you don't really need it. There's already very few enemies with 5 strength, so toughness 5 is probably the most you ever need. Toughness 6 is kind of overkill, and you're still paying points for that, so that's a bit of an issue. So the X1 has a range of 1, 3 attacks, strength 4, 2, 4 damage, for a damage output of 4 on average. Not that great. The Skull Crusher with the Glaive has a 2-inch range, but only 2 attacks at strength 5 for 2, 4 damage, which only results in 3.4 damage on average, which I think is pretty bad, and he also costs more than the other guys, so you gotta wonder where that comes from. Obviously his range is higher, but his damage is lower. Then we get the Flesh Hound. So that's a nice addition. He costs 170 points, not super cheap. Movement 8, toughness 4, 20 wounds. So nice profile there, especially moving 8 inches is very good. A range of 1, 4 attacks, strength 4, 2, 4 damage, 4, 5.4 damage on average. I like that profile. He's probably gonna be good. Now let's move on to our leader options. So those are our 3 new unit options. And then we got a lot of new leader options. First off, we got the Skull Hunter. I'm pretty sure he's the Skull Crusher leader. Costs 265 points. Has a movement of 6, toughness of 6 and 35 wounds. So again with the toughness 6, 5 wounds more than his friends. A range of 1, 4 attacks, strength 4, 2, 4 damage, for 5.4 damage on average. So at least his damage output is better than that of the normal Skull Crushers. But 265 points is very, very expensive for a unit that you can't climb with. And yeah, it's gonna be rough. Then we got the Aspiring Deathbringer. He's only 210 points. Well, I say only, that's not cheap. But yeah, he's 210 points. Movement 4, toughness 5, 30 wounds. So again, very tough to kill. Range of 1, 4 attack, strength 4, 2, 4 damage. He doesn't have anything special about him. He's just a straight up brawler. For that, I think that his damage output is not really great enough, and I don't see the big value in the toughness 5, so I don't like him that much. Then we got the Exalted Deathbringers, one with spear and one with axe. They cost 205 points each, have movement 4, toughness 4 and 30 wounds. The spear has a range of 2, 3 attacks, strength 4, 3, 6 damage, for an average of 6 damage. So if you're gonna bring a brawler character, he's definitely better than your Aspiring Deathbringer. And then we got an Exalted Deathbringer with the axe. His range is only 1, but he has 4 attacks, strength 4 at 3, 5 damage, resulting in an average of 7.4 damage, which is very, very good. So again, as I said, all 3 of these don't have any special abilities. However, the leader ability, the general one for Khorne, is triggered by killing an enemy. So you do want a leader that's able to kill someone. So probably the Exalted Deathbringer with Axe is going to be a good call for that. Only 205 points as well, which is relatively cheap. Then we got the Skull Grinder. He's 230 points, toughness 4, movement 4, toughness 5, 30 wounds. He has a range of 2, Is that right? Yeah, 2 attacks, strength 5, 3-6 damage. So 5 damage on average only. I think he's just quite bad in comparison to some of the other guys here. He does not get any special abilities or anything of the kind, so it's a bit tough to justify him. Then we got the Slaughter Priests. We get the axe and the hammer version. I think it's called Wrath Hammer or something, whatever. It's an axe and a hammer. 210 points each. Movement 4, toughness 4, 32 wounds. So again, very survivable, these guys. That's a lot of wounds to chew through. A range. So for the axe we have a range of 1, 3 attack, strength 4, 3, 5 damage, so that's an average of 5.5 damage. And the hammer is a range of 1, 4 attack, strength 4 to 4 damage, so slightly less damage on average. However, he also has a 2-inch range weapon. That it's not as great as in terms of damage output, so I didn't put it in here, but he gets that on top, so that's why he's slightly worse in the 1-inch range department, but he also gets a 2-inch range weapon on top. I think it's honestly just going to depend which one you've built, because these are very much interchangeable. Then we've got the Bloodsecreter. So that's a guy with a big banner. He costs 210 points as well. We see a lot of 210 point models for the, or like the 200 area seems to be very much where everything's around. Movement 4, toughness 5, 30 wounds, so again very tough to kill, toughness 5 there. A range of 1, 3 attacks, strength 4, 2, 5 damage for 4.5. That is certainly not the best. We've seen many with better damage output so far. However, he does get a quad ability that is pretty sexy, so we're going to talk about that later. Then we do have the Mighty Lord of Khorne. He costs 240 points, so relatively expensive there. Movement 4 as well, toughness 5, 32 wounds. Again, tough to kill. He has a range of 1, 5 attack, strength 4, 2, 5 damage for 7.6 damage output on average. So he's definitely your brawler type character. He gets an extra ability for his doggo, which is not that great. Yeah, so you just get another option for someone who can deal out damage. But honestly, you could just go with the Exalted Deathbringer, and he's gonna give you basically the same stuff. Yes, it's 1 toughness less, but the damage is basically the same, and you're paying a lot more points for the Mighty Lord of Khorne, so he's a bit tough to justify, I think. Then we got the Mighty Lord of Khorne and Juggernaut. He's essentially the same as your Skull Hunter. Costs 15 points more. Also movement 6, toughness 6, 38 wounds, so 3 wounds more than your Skull Hunter. And then he has a range of 1, 4 attack, strength 4, 2, 5 damage, so 6 damage instead of 5.4 on the Skull Hunter. He's a slightly bit better, but 280 points is a very hefty price to pay, especially for a mounted unit, which I don't consider that great in general. And last but not least, we got the Bloodstoker. Only costs 200 points. His movement 4, toughness 4, 30 wounds. So we see the 30 wounds across the board here. Crazy survivability. A range of 1, 4 attacks, strength 4, 2, 4 damage. So again with a 5.4, not bad, not great. However, what's amazing about him is his ability, and we're going to talk about that in a second. Okay guys, welcome to this screen here where we look at our point values. It's been a very short time for you, it's been a very long time for me. I've tried this 4 times now, and I swear if something goes wrong again, I'm gonna go completely insane, and that's gonna be it. Anyways, let's hope everything works now. So, we got the Skull Crushers, who are unsurprisingly bad damage per point value. Especially the Glaive, his damage output is just horribly low, and yeah, he's just not good at all in general. Then we got the Fleshhound. He's fast moving and decent damage output, decent survivability, just a pretty good piece all around. We have the Skull Hunter. I don't know why you would want to bring him. He doesn't have any special abilities. Yeah, he's just like your Skull Crushers. Not great points value there. Then we got your Deathbringers, both the Aspiring and the Exalted ones. They are all kind of fulfilling the same role of being a melee brawler, because they, again, don't bring anything else to the board. And out of the three, definitely the Axe is the most desirable one. His damage is just the best, and his point value therefore is the best. The Aspiring Deathbringer is more survivable, but you don't really need that survivability. Then we got the Skull Grinder, who's probably like the least interesting character on the entire roster. Just nothing fancy about him. His damage output isn't great. His survivability isn't that great for his points cost. He's just very meh. Then we got the Slaughter Priests, who are a very different kind of thing. Their damage output is pretty good for their points cost, actually, at least in the medium tier. That's quite surprising, given that they also have 2 abilities each, so I really like that. I think the Slaughter Priest is quite interesting. Then we got the Bloodsecreter. Sadly, his damage output is a bit lower, which is not that great for his points cost. He does have a cool quad, but I don't know if he's justifiable. Then we got the Mighty Lord of Khorne. His foot version obviously does have very high damage output. However, you get a much cheaper, much better option in the Wrathmaster or the Exalted Deathbringer with the Axe, so I don't really see the point of him. And the Juggernaut one is just the worse overall. Worse damage output, higher cost. Yeah, he's more survivable, but what do you need even more survivability for? And then we've got a Bloodstoker. He's a decent damage output, and he gets a cool ability that we're going to look at in a second. So, we then have our abilities. Let's go over the highlights here. We got a new one, which is the Cavalry Charge. Very standard stuff. It's got to be expected. They added the Skull Crushers, and of course they gave them the charge ability, so whenever you finish your move within 1 inch of an enemy, you can deal damage equal to the value. It's okay, it's not bad. Then we got a, well, that's the only new one we got for everyone. For our leaders, of course, we got a lot of new stuff. The Bloodstoker gets the same kind of thing that you would see in a Beast Speaker or your Pipe Master for the Skavens. He can tell 1 Khorgorath within 4 inches of him to make a bonus attack action. With a Khorgorath who's dealing 10 points of damage on average, that is amazing. So that's a very, very good double. Then we got a double for the Mighty Lord of Khorne, which is just throwing a lot of dice for basically no outcome. You're gonna expect to deal 2 damage with this entire attack. It's just not great. I think this, yeah, doesn't justify bringing the Mighty Lord of Khorne. Then we got a double for the Slaughter Priest, which is pulling an enemy within 8 inches of you towards you by the value of the ability. That can be extremely powerful. You can pull someone out of melee range with one of your models you want to protect. You can pull them out of the area of a objective, so they can't control it. You can pull them towards one of your more powerful fighters, or even into the lava or off buildings. If you're playing Catacombs, for example, into the lava would instant kill someone. So for just double, I feel this is a very good and cool ability. You will have to kind of set this up, so make sure that your Slaughter Priest is in the right position to pull the opponent towards you. But it's really good. Then we got a triple for everyone, which is after killing an enemy, you can then add 1 to the attack's characteristic for everyone within 6 inches of you. It's good. It's a pretty good ability. However, you will need some decent damage output in order to be able to trigger this. So you will want to use one of your higher damage output characters, like the Wrathmaster, like your Exalted Deathbringer. Maybe the Mighty Lord of Khorne, although I'm still not sold on him, so those are your prime options, although all the ones who have 5.4 damage output, so your Skull Hunters, your Slaughter Priests, all of them are definitely going to be capable of doing this as well. Then we got a triple for the Slaughter Priests, so the Slaughter Priests, as I said, they get 2 abilities, which is quite nice. So they can target an enemy within 8 inches and deal some damage to them. You can't expect more than 4 damage out of that, but that's still not bad. And then you get a quad for your Bloodsecreter, which is adding 1 to the attack characteristic for everyone within 16 inches. So you're basically talking a board-wide buff. That's pretty crazy. However, sadly, it's dependent on a quad, and quads are not assured, pretty hard to come by sometimes. So it's a bit risky there, bringing him as your leader. On top of that, keep in mind that his damage output and his profile is not that great. So yeah, what kinds of lists would I present to you then? Well, I obviously came up with some. One that I really like is getting 6 reuse double weapons. Just for your numbers game, you need them to have activations to get the control game rolling. You then get a Wrathmaster, because his damage output is just so good, and you get easy access to your triple basically to buff everyone, which is nice. Then I'd get a Fleshhound for sure, because having one very fast moving model is always going to be beneficial. You want that to hunt down chaff units, you want that to grab treasures, for example, and run away with them or something, or even catch up to fast enemy units. So definitely worth bringing. And then you could bring a Slaughter Priest, because the Slaughter Priest, as I said, I really like the abilities. You get the pulling ability and so on, so I really think that's a cool one. So that's one list I think is good. A different one, but I also think that would be a very good one, would be bringing a Khorgorath, a Fleshhound actually as well, and a Bloodstoker. The combination of Khorgorath and Bloodstoker is gonna kill stuff. So if you are, for example, if you know that your gaming group contains a lot of Stormcast players who play tough warbands or strong fighters, and it often gets very brawly. Well, no one's gonna be better in a brawl than the Khorgorath and Bloodstoker combination. They are going to kill stuff. They can go toe to toe with the Red Ogre Packmaster combo. And don't forget, the Packmaster is easily taken out and you lose your double, whereas the Bloodstoker is very survivable with 30 wounds, so he's not gonna go anywhere. That's also a very good combination. I think both of these are very good lists. Please do let me know which one you think is better, because I would love to know. Anyways guys, thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next one.